Let's start tonight on the topic of loving ourselves, our worthless little selves. And I'm so proud of each of you for listening to this, because who wants to look at where they feel worthless? Who wants to look at that? And the beauty of looking at it is to see through it. It's so scary. I remember one time when I was looking at worth for myself, and I thought, what if I find out that I'm not worth it? What if I find that out? How am I going to handle that? And rest assured, it is not a problem to ask yourself any question of that sort, because you will find that you love you and that there is great value in each and every person. But we'll take a journey into understanding that. But just wanted to say right off the bat, anybody who is willing to look at it, because that's the scariest thing. That's why people don't look into it, because they're afraid of an answer. And love loves. And you don't have to be afraid of love. We don't always get what we want, but we get what we need. Somebody wrote a song about that. So, well, let's get started. Taking a deep breath in and allowing it to fill our lungs. And just thinking of it as breathing right now. That first breath, just think of it as breathing. Just breathing in and breathing out. And how valuable is that air? Like right now, how much can you charge for it if you put it in a bottle? What's the cost? And people, unless they're scuba diving, may not think it's worth a whole lot. What are you doing handing me a bottle of air? Like it's all around me. And we're so used to judging everything based on its value. What can I get for this? What can I either do with it? How will it be useful to me? But we don't really think about air and the value of air. And yet, we think about the cost of water. We think about the cost of food. But we don't really have that value on air. And yet, how long would we live without water? How long would we live without food? And how long would we live without air? So valuable. So abundant. I mean, you could even throw away a breath. You could take it in, push it out. How much is it worth? 5 cents? 10 cents? How much per breath? And yet, when we don't have access to air, we begin to see and understand its value. And yet it was just as valuable before we recognized it. So now let's think about air differently as we breathe it in. Not just a breath, but taking it in. Understanding it just a little bit more about its value. That it's what's sustaining the life in this body, along with other things. But it's one of the aspects. So with that knowledge, taking in a breath, understanding that we couldn't exist on this planet without it. How precious it is to breathe it in. We notice its whole path into our nostrils, down our throat, into our lungs. Then we take the time to realize that it merges with us. It's not just something I breathe in and exhale out. It merges with my body. That breath becomes a part of my bloodstream. Feeds every organ, every cell, everything. How precious, how valuable. And I hadn't even been thinking about it. And then I notice its timing with my body. As I breathe in, I notice that my heart beats rhythmically with this breath. And how soon my heart would stop without it. And I hadn't thought of its value before. It had kind of been thrown away in my thinking. But the most valuable thing you need to stay alive on this planet is free, accessible, and abundance. And yet we hadn't really thought of its value, what it was worth, what it wasn't worth. And that recognition is logic. And why would I mention logic right now? Because I want us to understand how we can logically work our way through worthlessness and values. And what the benefit of that is. And how you can work through something without logic and what the value of that is. And the best way to understand is to experience it. So that it is your knowing. So we take another deep breath in and let it out. And we relax into breathing. And so, now that you know the value of air, has it changed your awareness of your own value? Because logically, here we looked at something that we hadn't really thought about, or at least I hadn't. And we understand that air is so valuable. But have you changed the way you live because you've recognized that? And if air is valuable, there's only one unique version of you on this planet. How valuable are you? And that logically makes sense. And with that logic, and be like real with this answer. With that logic, are you okay now? Do you realize your value? Do you understand your worth? As you've realized that something that keeps you sustained on this planet is completely free at this time. And it was unrecognized, perhaps. And now you understand a bit more about its value. Does that take away your concerns around worthlessness? Yes or no? If air is that valuable, and there's only one version of you on this planet, how valuable are you? And so logically, are you aware of your value at this point? Or do you still feel worthless sometimes? I'll venture that logic felt good for a minute or two, but that it didn't sustain an awareness of your value. Because even in this moment, even recognizing the value of air, do you really get how valuable it is? My value in America is different than my value in another country. There are some countries where I would have absolutely no value, either because of my age, my gender, what I understand. You drop me off in the desert and say, okay, you lead a team to survive. We're all dying because I don't know how to survive the desert. So I'm not going to be very valuable as a leader in that situation. I'll try to find some water, but good luck to us. So my value can change based on what society I'm in, what culture I'm in. And see, that's where the logic comes from for our value. It comes from what you've learned is valuable in your society, in your family, around whoever you grew up around. And that changes family by family. So how do we get to understand our value? How do we get to understand whether we're worthless or not? Because logic isn't going to do it. Logic is how we got in this hole. Because you were raised that you had to do something, be something, achieve something to be valuable, to be worthy of love. And sometimes logic, we can defeat logic with logic. We can out-logic our logic. But guess what happens later? We learn more, and we can see through that logic. And I only say this because to drive home the awareness that thinking is so overrated, that the logic around value is so overrated. So let's do this differently. And let's step away from logic, because logic won't take us there. Logic is what got us in this hole. So how do we get out of it? Let's get out of it together. So we're going to breathe in again. And we're going to shift from thinking about the value of air from the perspective of logic. Of course, every breath is a gift. And we're going to move into a different vibration. Because see, worthlessness is a vibration. Oh yeah. So this time we're going to, when we take this next breath together, going to close our eyes and focus on the vibration that comes with air. So let's breathe in. And notice the energy that air is. See, air isn't simply a non-substance. It's a frequency as well. Everything is a frequency, a vibration. And we breathe that in. Noticing the coolness of it. You ever notice when you breathe in some really hot air, how that feels different? Just breathing in. And along with being a vibration, air carries the energy of love, the frequency of love. Because everything on this planet, everything that exists, whether it's on this planet or not, comes from source. But especially air has a frequency of love. And love greets your lungs and merges with you because you're the counterpart of love on this planet. And it doesn't reject you in any way. When you breathe in, that breath merges with your body. It doesn't say you're too fluffy or you're too skinny. It merges with your lungs. And it carries into your bloodstream. And it feeds your entire body with what it needs to function. And if we think that we're self-made men or women, and we don't have to depend on anybody, well, pinch their nose and hold their mouth shut. They're depending on something. They're depending on that next breath, just like the rest of us. There's no self-made person. We're all interdependent. So we breathe in that air, that love, and it greets us without rejection. There's nobody unworthy of its interaction. And that's the basis of mammalian life on this planet. Of all mammals, they have to have a little oxygen. And none is rejected. And that's love. Love cannot reject you. It wouldn't think of it, because it doesn't think. See, to reject somebody, you have to go into logic to reject them. You got to find a justification. You got to find a value-based judgment. You got to understand if they deserve or don't deserve. You've got to see if they're worth it. It's all logic. It's all thinking. It's all society saying who is and who isn't. So that society can determine your standing or your lack of standing. And we already know these things. So we start making justifications inside ourselves. Well, I'm good at this, but maybe not so great at that. Or maybe I have great looks, right? So that's my value. Or maybe I have a lot of money, and that's my value. Again, justification, logic. See, only logic can say one person's value is higher than another. And that's not very logical. But it's where we find ourselves. Because we're that sucked in to proving our value. We're that sucked in. There's not a person out there who doesn't struggle with worthiness. And why is it that every human being on a planet would struggle over whether they're worth it or not? What are we doing? If every single beautiful person doesn't know their value, what have we done? Do we like that? Do we like this structure? Do we like this setup? Everybody proving, everybody earning, and nobody happy. That's logic. And why am I hitting that so hard? Because I'm more and more aware that thinking doesn't do us much good. And I love thinking. I was an engineer, still am. I love thinking. I'm very logical, very practical. I love thinking. It's been one of the biggest things that I've had to overcome to love myself, was the thinking. And especially the value that I put on thinking. In fact, sometimes the one thing I would have, I didn't feel like I was the prettiest girl, and I didn't think I was the handsomest man. So I had to what have I got? That was one of the things. Well, this much I know. I'm smart. Yeah, I'm smart. I can figure out a problem. So there's my value. And my value is work. And as I've learned about thinking, it's the biggest thing between me and happiness. It's the biggest thing between me and loving myself. Because usually when I start thinking, I start justifying either why I'm okay or why I'm not okay. That's all thinking. And in that same moment, I could have been loving me. And that's why I hit on thinking. And I take the time to talk this long about thinking. And I won't share more on it. Because until you catch yourself thinking and how much damage it does to spend your life trying to justify your value and your worth. The things you do that you don't want to do, but maybe it'll make you more likable. Maybe somebody will love me if I do it. I don't want to say no. They may not love me. I'll say yes. All those things are just justifications to be valuable, to be loved. And you are love. So let's not logic our way through this, because as you can tell, logic will only get you so far. Let's look at our worth from the space in us that is knowing, that is source, that is love, that is you. And it's hard to logically understand that you really are source. Because nobody taught you that. And it defies thinking that you are a part of the air that loves you. So let's breathe in again together. Noticing that we can greet this air coming in with excitement and interest. And how different is that breath than the other ones we took? When we greet the love that enters our body and merges with us. And if love will merge with your body and flow through your veins and recognize the counterpart that you are, take a breath with the awareness that love is greeting love every time you breathe in. So you can breathe and think about what you got to do today and justify everything you're doing to be worthy. Or you can breathe and greet the breath that's coming in as your loving counterpart? And which one ignites your body? Pay attention to that. The difference in breathing and thinking about what you need to do today to be better, to be loved, to be worthy, or the breath that greets love with love. Just notice which one feels better in your body. Then you don't need logic to tell the difference. So as that love enters your body and greets you and you greet it with love, love that breath. And even though you don't know how, somehow it merges in its special way into your bloodstream. Let that love course all the way through your body, through every capillary, through every vein, through every artery. And does it reject any part of you? Does it reject your ugly toes? Does it reject your fat rolls? It's working its way into my fat rolls. Doesn't reject any part of me. And notice as well as you follow that breath down into your chest. And you hold that breath just for a second. What do you feel in your own body when you hold the breath as you do an intake? I feel this buildup of energy. How about you? What do you feel? And that buildup of energy is your life force. Have you ever noticed that before? It's got this tingle to it. It wants to move a little bit. And how is it for you? And then if I let it out, and I pause again at the end of that exhale, I can still feel that energy. It feels a little different, but I still feel it. And that's the alive love that you are. So don't just notice it. Because see, we get so caught up in watching life, noticing and observing, and being an observer, that we don't join. But we're going to join this time. And I want you to notice the difference. Because this is experience. This isn't logic. This is experience. And when you experience something, you know. So let's experience it. So I breathe in and you breathe in. And this time, even before I stop and hold that breath, I can feel that energy building inside me as I'm breathing. And I notice that energy. And I do it again. I notice that energy. But the part of me that's noticing it is my mind, my personality. And this time, when I breathe in, and I notice that energy, I'm going to take my focus right into the center of that energy. And you do the same. And I merge with that energy. I become that soft breath that I'm letting out. And I do it again, and I merge, and I keep my focus on that energy that I feel inside. And it's got a steadiness to it. And as I feel that, and I don't observe it anymore, I merge with it. There's a quietness that's with it. Just keep with that and notice the quietness and the stillness of it. And I continue to bring my focus back, and every once in a while a thought wants my attention. That's okay. I don't have to stress it. Sometimes it might even get my attention for a second, and then I go, oh yeah, that's thinking. Let me go back to the energy that I am. And this still, quiet energy that you are. That's beyond verbalizing. There's nothing to describe it. And it greets the breath. And it has a rhythm. And I merge with that rhythm and that breath. And I choose in that moment the next breath to share love to my body. And in choosing to share love, I feel the energy of love. And I send that love down to my toes, and to my calves, and to my thighs, to my torso, I just love. And I send it to my shoulders, my head, my hair, my eyes. I send it to my organs. And I hold nothing back from myself, just as you hold nothing back. You love every inch of you. Every one of your millions and millions, maybe billions of cells. And you greet the air coming in as love. Let it merge in your lungs and express love to your entire system. And you feel that. Then do you enjoy loving you that way? And as it fills your own body, and you keep merging with it, it fills an area around your body too. Like once your body's full, you can just extend it outside your body about a foot. Loving on the skin as it passes through the skin. And loving everything outside of you. And you focus on that love, that vibration that you are, and you keep loving you. And it's like there's plenty of it. Is it running low on supply? No. And in fact, as I focus on it, it increases. And that's what love feels like to my body. What's peace feel like? So now I'm going to choose the energy of peace to fill my body. And I send it to my mind to fill my mind, to calm my thoughts. And so do you. And I can choose to be in this space, aware of my own energy, aware of my ability to move between love and peace. And that as my body is full and as your body is full, it's still so much of it. And it just starts to ooze out of you to anything around you. Then you start to let that happen, just oozing out. Now in your environment, who would you deny it to? Would you say, you get this, but not you? Who would you pick? Or would you bother? And did you notice that as soon as you started to think, who would I pick to send this to? You began to move away from that vibration. That's thinking. That's what thinking does. It takes you out of that vibration. That's logic. So return your focus to the love that you are. Feeling that. Giving it to yourself. Now, are you worthy of this love? But wait, I was already giving it to myself. I was already enjoying it. And in that question of worth, you have to pop away from yourself to evaluate yourself. Whoa, that's weird and totally unnecessary because you were loving yourself. So let's go back to feeling and focusing on that love. Giving that to our body. See, we only can't have it. We're only not worth it if we think about it. And love doesn't think. Love knows. And you know what? You wouldn't deny it to yourself, and you wouldn't deny it to anyone else. As you begin to love you with all the thoughts that you have about your value, not your actual value, but the thoughts that you have about your value, you begin to realize those are just thoughts and judgments. Because I can love me while I'm completely imperfect. While worth is a question, I can love me. And then you begin to wonder, how valuable are some of these questions like worth when it actually doesn't apply to anything? Because who would you deny this love to? As you love you with all your little wrinkles, scars, wounds, disfigurements, fat rolls. You know me, I like my country ham biscuit. It comes with a roll too. And as I love me, and as you love you, doesn't matter. Did I achieve enough today? Did I do enough today? Did I make somebody feel special today? Not required to love me. And as I love me, my imperfect self, myself that says stupid things sometimes, myself that doesn't always do everything perfectly, myself that, took a little extra time at the water cooler today and didn't earn every single dollar. Myself that doesn't fit everybody's picture. I still love me. And it's so easy to love me. In fact, as I was loving me and you were loving you, did love ask one question before it loved you? Oh my God. Do you see that? Do you feel that? Did love ask you one question? Did it hold itself back? No. It loved you. You love you. You are love. And love asks no questions. It loves. As you are. No change required. It was so simple. You didn't have to earn it. You didn't have to do a damn thing. You just enjoyed it. And you created it. Did you see? That's how powerful you are. There's nothing between you and loving you except allowing it. And how do you allow? You get out of this mind and you follow your breath till you notice a vibration inside of you, and you go and you merge with that. You don't observe it. You merge with it. And that love instantly, immediately fills you with love. And then it starts spilling out of you. And when you were enjoying that, did you think, well, I'm going to give it to Bob, but not Susan? Or I'm going to give it to Rachel, but not Joey? No. It just shares itself. So how do we defeat the beliefs around value? Especially when we see that in love, it doesn't even come up. So here we spend our day trying to be valuable, to receive something that isn't even asking that question. Only logic asks that question. So here we are struggling to answer a question that isn't even being asked. That's why logically it's so hard to overcome worthlessness. And can I have love and be completely worthless? Absolutely. So don't try to not be worthless. It's not even the point. Now, if you want to deny yourself love, you can continue to focus on the vibration of worthlessness instead of the vibration of love. Because if you focus on the vibration of love, you get love. You get to know the real you. And if you focus on the vibration of worthlessness, there's a part of you denying you instant love. And that's okay. We were taught that's what we were supposed to do. And so I could say something logical that helps you understand that you're not worthless. But I'd rather you get to know the love that you are that doesn't ever even question that. so we can spend time on a question that was created and self-created according to our families and cultures, that which cannot even evaluate each other the same, because that which has value in America does not have value in other cultures. That which has value in Canada is different than Africa. See, the love that you are and that you share to you, well, you know what? That love works in every culture. Interesting. Value changes culture by culture. But you can love in Canada, and you can love in America, and you can love in Africa. And it's the same. Same vibration. And it's inclusive of everything about you. And it doesn't care what your mind thinks about value. And if I could share one thing, it is love you. The experience of loving you is the most valuable asset that you can ever experience. And you don't buy it, you allow it. And you do it worthless. You do it worthless. You do it rejected. Because that's you bringing you home. All those little thoughts coming home to you. Because you are born to love you as you are. And then as you love yourself as you are, you don't have to worry about, well, let me love this other person. I want to love them. Let me send them some love. And you get in your, and you start trying to send them some love, and then you remember what they did 2 years ago, and it's like, it's choking, get the gas back on, I can do it. Don't love anybody else. Love you. Because when you love you and you focus on loving you, it fills you up, and then it exudes out of you, and it spills over to everybody you come in contact with, and people who you don't come in contact with but are in your vibrational field feel loved. And you know, the beauty of it is it ignites self-love in them, so then they're not dependent on anybody else loving them. They can love themselves. They can love themselves when they're worthless. And as they love themselves when they're worthless, they recognize it was never a question. And the most valuable thing they have is the love of themselves. So don't try to love anybody else. And don't try to love you. Love you because you are capable. You did it. You can do it again. So don't even know that it's critical that we figure out that we're not worthless. Why take the time to do that when you could be loving you instead and knowing and learning the value of the energy that you are, which is not separate from Source. You are the most unbelievable being that could possibly exist. It's hard to believe, so don't believe it, be it. And it doesn't make you cocky or ridiculous. It makes you very, very loving. Because then you start to see that being all around you. You start to see you all around you. And when you love you, and you recognize that you are all around you, there's no one to love but you. And there's no one to reject you but you. So love you. Experience it. Experiences its own knowing. And that air that greets you with love is also you. That's how much love is abundant on this planet. So roll in it. Roll in it whether you're worthless or you're valuable. Because that's not even a part of the game. So why spend time fixing something that isn't even a question? Experience the love that you are. Fall in love with the love that you are. And you won't care if you're worthless. Because it's not anything but a question in your mind. And you don't have to be afraid of any question in your mind. You take that question into that love that you are, and you will answer your question for you. And that love that you are did not reject you. You became it, and it is you. All you did was merge with the energy of love that you are. Do it as often as you like. It'll change your life. So be the vibration of love that you are, and change your own life. And not change for the better, but for the clarity that understands that value and worth are imaginations of a society that doesn't understand how to love itself. So be the beacon of hope by loving you. And as you love you, teach this world how to love themselves. That you can't love somebody else through it. They have to love themselves. So be in a state of self-love as often as you possibly can, for the pleasure of what it brings to you, and the igniting in others the awareness of the self-love that they are. And one day there'll be a generation of children born that have no idea what this word worth or value means, or why anyone would question that about another human being, plant, or animal on this planet. And that's why you're here, to love you. And in so doing, love all the yous that make up this universe. That's your value, and that's your worth, if you still care about those kinds of words.